This thing definitely just took me on the ride of my life. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I am a bit nervous for what's about to go down, or let me rephrase that, I'm currently shitting myself. So as you can see by the title and thumbnail of the video, I'm getting ready to take the C400 on its first ever test drive. You might be thinking, why would you be nervous? I mean, you built a car. Well, that's exactly the point. I built this thing, me, myself, and I. And that makes it 10 times more scary. But I have to say, I have been testing the car just in and around my backyard, and so far so good. Nothing catastrophic went wrong yet. Only thing left to do is to see how it does on the open road. The plan is I'm gonna take the 2-kilometer drive over to my mechanic for if and when something goes wrong, we can fix it over there, and then also get the car back because the alternator is still not charging the battery. I can't figure out why that is, but I do have an extra battery with some jumper cables for if and when something goes wrong, and just throw that on there and we should be able to make it back. So I already checked over all the fluids, everything seems to be fine. Let's get the show on the road. I'm super nervous, but anyway, also figured out the gearbox. So we have the first lever closest to my side, to the driver's side, is for park, reverse, neutral, and drive, just like that. And then the second shifter is just a switch inside of here, and that'll be our first gear, second gear, and third gear. I think I've only been able to test first gear because my yard is only that big, so I'm kind of curious to see how the car is going to pull, because I'm sure this thing is a lot lighter than the Ford, but the tuning isn't perfect and all that. But yeah, let's just do this. Well, we made it. This thing definitely just took me on the ride of my life. Damn! Tell you what, it does not drive like any other Merc that I've ever driven. This thing is super sketchy. The drive is not the most comfortable thing, but I really enjoyed that. But for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, so that car used to stand over here for like, I think it was 3 or 4 years. Definitely came a long way since then, but let's see if we can make it back home. Now, it's a couple of days later, and after editing the first part of the video, I thought let's have a quick chat on how the first test drive went. Firstly, apologies for the poor camera work, camera falling around and all that. I was just trying to survive and not to die. During all this, there was literally a million things going through my mind, scenarios of things that can go wrong. Possibilities was endless. It also probably wasn't the smartest thing to take this thing on a test drive, but it's just one of those steps that needed to happen for me to figure out the next steps for the project C400. Before I spend any more time and money on the project, does it even work? And I would say for the most part, it does. I mean, it didn't blow up, it didn't break down, and it didn't catch on fire. So that in my books is a win. Now I did learn a lot, so let's kind of go through it. So first of all, let's start in the front. I was kind of worried that it'll be too low, but it's totally usable and I had no issues with that. And then the second and very important thing is I need to figure out that alternator, why it's not charging. So I'm gonna have to remove the radiator to get the belt off there, to remove the alternator and get that tested and figured out. But other than that, the engine and gearbox seem to be doing their job. A very important thing is I need to figure out a way to latch the hood, because if I go over 60, that thing's gonna fly open. Then about the suspension, so the front of the car feels okay. I mean, that engine is super heavy, but all in all didn't do too bad. But I will need to get new shocks at the back. It's super bouncy back there, so that's not going to work. Speaking of latches, I do also need to figure out how I'm going to get a trunk latch or some way to keep the trunk closed, because that also wasn't latched. And then windshield, I'll get a new one at some stage. That might be a bit expensive, so I'm not too worried about that now. And then another very important thing is a seat belt. I know, it's very important. I will get a seat belt before we go on the next test drive. About the brakes, they are super noisy, especially at the back, but I think it's because I painted the discs and they just need to sort themselves out. And then another thing at the back is that giant hole. I will need to cover that up because it gets super dusty in here when you drive around. And then obviously the bodywork and paint, I am super excited to get started on that. That's going to be a total new learning curve for me. I'm not the best, or haven't even done bodywork, and we know my painting skills are not the best. I really think the first test drive could not have gone any smoother than it did. This is definitely a process, and we do need to trust the process. One day we'll have some proper fun with this. Nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and then I'll see you in the next one. Peace.